NBC News can project at this hour that the winner of the New York City mayoral race will be Zohran Mamdani, the state assemblyman from Queens, who ran an insurgent campaign that absolutely blindsided the Democratic establishment. He wiped out former Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary, causing Cuomo to come back and run as an independent, leading the Republican candidate, Curtis Sliwa, as a sort of also ran. But NBC News can project that Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor of New York City. He is not, despite popular impression, will not be the youngest man ever elected governor of New York. There have been some younger than him, but this is a very big deal, and this will have, even though New York is sui generis, New York is its own thing, this will have political shockwaves around the country for the Democratic Party and for the way the Republican Party likes to talk about the Democratic Party.
It is worth noting that Mamdani had essentially zero name recognition. He was 1% of the polls. The thing that lifted him out of obscurity was that he went to two districts that had swung heavily for Donald Trump, working class districts, working class voters of color, one in the Bronx right by Fordham Road, which I know well, one in Queens, and he talked to people about why they had voted the way they had. And in fact, there's behind the scenes footage of him holding a sign saying, "Let's talk election," and going up to people, "You want to talk to election?" I'm like, yeah. And his focus on winning back those voters is actually where that campaign started. That is the first thing he did. This was 3 or 4 days after the election. And the idea that if you talk to working class voters, the reason that New York City had swung to Trump was affordability, and people feel like they couldn't afford things. And out of that engineered this campaign that is one of just in pure from out of nowhere to victory trajectories I have not seen in a very long time. I mean, I live in New York. I grew up in New York. I cover New York. I know New York politics. Like, I vaguely knew there was a young socialist assemblyman named Zohran Mamdani, and I'm as plugged in as they come. It is an incredible turn of events that he is going to be the mayor of New York City.
Yeah.
Zohran Mamdani, a progressive state assemblyman from Queens, has been projected as the next mayor of New York City following a stunning election upset that has sent shockwaves through the political establishment. Mamdani's insurgent campaign defied all expectations, unseating the Democratic establishment and defeating former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who had re-entered the race as an independent after losing the Democratic primary. Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa finished far behind, solidifying Mamdani's victory as a decisive moment in New York's political history. Once polling at just 1%, Mamdani began his campaign as an underdog with virtually no name recognition. Yet his grassroots strategy and direct engagement with working-class voters, especially in areas that had swung toward Donald Trump, proved decisive. His campaign focused on affordability, inequality, and reclaiming trust among disillusioned communities who felt ignored by both major parties. In districts such as those near Fordham Road in the Bronx and parts of Queens, Mamdani personally connected with voters, holding up signs that read, "Let's talk elections," and initiating candid conversations about why many had shifted toward Trump in recent years. This approach, rooted in empathy and direct dialogue, became the foundation of his political rise. Rather than dismissing Trump-supporting districts as lost causes, Mamdani sought to understand their frustrations, especially around the cost of living, housing, and stagnant wages. From those conversations grew a campaign that reframed progressive politics not as abstract ideology, but as a practical response to everyday economic struggles. Political analysts described Mamdani's trajectory as one of the most remarkable in recent New York memory, a story of a candidate who engineered victory from near obscurity through tireless grassroots organizing. His focus on affordability struck a chord with working-class voters of color, many of whom had previously felt alienated from Democratic politics. Mamdani's victory marks a generational and ideological shift in the city's leadership. Though not the youngest person ever elected mayor of New York, he represents a new wave of progressive leaders emphasizing inclusivity, social equity, and community-driven governance. His campaign's success also signals a broader reckoning within the Democratic Party, challenging its establishment figures and signaling growing momentum for left-leaning, people-powered movements nationwide. Observers noted that Mamdani's win is likely to have national repercussions. Even though New York is often seen as politically unique, his triumph underscores a pattern of working-class realignment and growing demand for authenticity in politics. For Democrats, it serves as both an inspiration and a warning, showing that grassroots energy and direct voter engagement can overcome institutional power, but also that neglecting affordability concerns can cost support among key constituencies. For Republicans, Mamdani's victory complicates the narrative that Democrats have permanently lost the working-class vote. His campaign showed that economic populism grounded in local realities can bridge divides and win back voters who had drifted toward Trump-era politics. The mayor-elect's journey from unknown assemblyman to the city's top office demonstrates the enduring power of on-the-ground campaigning. His team strategy focused less on expensive advertising and more on human contact, door-knocking, neighborhood listening sessions, and multilingual outreach that reflected New York's diversity. This people-first approach distinguished his campaign from more traditional, consultant-driven efforts. Mamdani's landslide victory over both Cuomo and Sliwa now positions him to reshape the city's agenda around affordability, housing, public transit, and social inclusion. His message resonated across boroughs that New York should be a city for all, not just the wealthy few. As political insiders absorb the magnitude of the upset, one thing is clear: Mamdani's rise represents more than a single election win. It marks a transformation in how campaigns are fought and won in modern New York politics, where direct engagement and authenticity can overturn entrenched power. His success is already being hailed as a model for progressives nationwide, a testament to how a little-known candidate, armed with empathy and a message rooted in economic justice, can rise from 1% in the polls to become mayor of America's largest city.